Welcome back, everybody. How's it going? It's Shannon from Good Fruit. Today we're going to be talking about communication. Last week we talked about Jesus, and there was a moment where we described where he told the 12 disciples to wait and that he would send the helper. Who is the helper? The helper is the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is now present in the earth after Jesus' sacrifice. The Holy Spirit is the conduit that connects us to the Father, to Jesus, in this kind of, triangle, right? Like the three Godheads work together, and through the Holy Spirit, we are connected to Jesus. We are connected to the Father. And in that connection, communication is restored. We are in that new covenant. But even before we enter into the new covenant, because Jesus sent the helper into the world, there is a communication and an existence of the Father that is floating around, right? The Holy Spirit is the Spirit of the Father. Through the Holy Spirit, he is able to communicate with us. So if you think it was Gucci and fun and easy to be living in the Old Testament, and you look at everybody and all the mistakes that they made, imagine the only instruction and direction that you ever got from God most of the time was he showed up, physically showed up. You needed to pay attention for whatever time period that was, and he gave you a bunch of instructions, and then he was gone. And then you didn't hear from him. You didn't know, but you knew because he told you at the beginning, and he was very descriptive. And if you're like me and you give me your name and 5 seconds later, I just forget it. You wonder why these stories are what they are, because they were not in communication the way that communication is possible now within creation because of what Jesus did. So that new covenant, the new creations I was speaking about the other day, is communication is restored, and it is an internal communication. It's a spiritual communication. When we're baptized by Jesus, we're filled with the Holy Spirit and communications within us. What does it look like beforehand? How are we able to hear God and communicate with him and and discerning without being in this new covenant, being in proximity to him, being the temples, right? Allowing him in. Before we are filled with the Spirit, how are we communicating with him? Well, Holy Spirit is around us. Holy Spirit is always here. And Holy Spirit is consistently searching the earth for those that are seeking to know him. What does that mean, to know him? Well, in every relationship that's ever started, whether it's friendship or it is, like a boyfriend-girlfriend type thing, a mom-wife, whatever, that there is a process that when you see somebody that you make an assumption, whether it's the clothes that they wear, the things that they do, that an assumption can be made that, oh, they're this type of person, or that girl with the resting, I'm just going to say it, I'm probably going to go beep it out, that that's a mean girl. And then all of a sudden you get to know her and she's like, wow, she's so nice. I know you got a tattoo on your face, but I didn't know you were so nice. I know you were this, I know you were that. And I'm making these assumptions based on how somebody visually is interpreted. Or say maybe you read a Reddit article or a Facebook thing, a post about somebody, a book, maybe the Bible, right? That you make assumptions based on the things that you know with your own understanding. I grew up and I was dyslexic. And when I say I grew up and dyslexic, I'm still growing up and I'm still dyslexic. My reading comprehension sometimes is not the greatest, which is really great to have the Holy Spirit, because I'm like, I don't know if I read that right. He's like, you definitely did not read that right. Read it again. We all make mistakes in comprehension because we go by our own understanding. So when we think about Holy Spirit, if he's seeking the earth for those that are looking for an understanding of who God is in spirit and in truth, it means that he's looking to communicate with those and encounter those who are looking for the truth. And I hate to be the burden of bad news and things like that. More often than not, we see in this world that we are lovers of self and that we are not seeking God for God. We're seeking God for the God that we desire God to be, for our own selfish motives and our own purpose. And that's just, I hate to say it, if we're supposed to be in relationship with God, what kind of relationship is it that we're being selfish? That we don't even desire to know God for who he truly is. And yes, we know God to be loving and kind and all these beautiful things, and he does wonderful things for all of us, but he's a God whose purpose is all about his glory. It's all about him, and it's all about denying self. So when we seek him, we're not seeking for the truth of who we are, although he will tell us who we are. We first need to seek him, because a lot of the things that we are going to do here in this earth and much far after aren't about us. They're about him and his calling and his purpose and what he desires to do, right, for his glory. And outside this space, it's going to be a lot easier because we don't have this desire for self. We have a desire to be in relationship and be in union with Christ and the Father. That it's just existence. And existence is beautiful because there's just a purpose to it that is just about love and about understanding and about community and about people. That's not about self-exaltation. So when you dial the phone and you start wanting to be in communication with God, if you're calling him all the time just only to ask for things for yourself and not to get to know him, do you really think he's always going to answer the phone? No, he's not going to always answer the phone. It's not that he's abandoning you. It's just that, like, what kind of relationship is that? He loves you unconditionally and you only call him when you want things your way and you want him to do things your way. God's ways are not our ways. So communication is about speaking with him, the way in which people should reach out. And especially at the beginning, right? So I have like so many people that are like, what is it like to talk with God? Sometimes I'm just talking at him, and then when I stop, he's like, are you done? And then I'm like, yeah. He's like, now can I tell you what I want to share with you? And it's not that he doesn't care about what I'm sharing, because he does sometimes. Like when I said that, he's like, no, I don't. And rightfully so, because like he's like, that stuff doesn't matter. You're sitting here worrying about things that don't matter. Like, let me tell you what matters. Let me redefine to you how to actually communicate. Because if it was about communication being restored, it means that we actually didn't even know how to talk. We don't even know how to ask questions. We've been using a phone like this when really we needed to be using a phone like this. And that every time we pick up the phone should not necessarily be about us needing something other than somebody that will actually tell us the truth. So what does it mean to be seeking in spirit and in truth? It means that you start to dig into this awareness. And if we don't really have an understanding of who God is until we can hear and get to know him, like, where do we go first? I know that like the first time I encountered God, it was crying out. And when I cried out, it was to know and understand I wasn't doing this myself. I wasn't going to figure it out myself. And if anybody was going to know how to do it, it was going to be him. And when I cried out, I didn't add any like conditions to it. I just was like, I don't know. I'm not making any assumptions. Tell me. Show me. Show me you. Show me how. Show me what. Show me why. Right? So seeking God and in spirit and in truth, seek him. Don't seek him for what the things he could do for you. You seek him for his purpose and his understanding and his calling. I promise you he will give you everything. I don't know one thing that he wouldn't give you if you were seeking it for his purpose, to glorify him. God's promises are based on the condition that you do and you follow what he says. And if you're doing and you're following what he says, you're in obedience to his will, the instructions that he gives you are always about bringing heaven here on earth. And he will open every single door because you're not opening it for yourself. He's opening it for you. And you're walking through that door because your purpose is to do his will. So that beginning of communication being restored should show you that the call you make to him in spirit and in truth, he sacrificed everything to restore that communication. Something to think about, right? People are always like, I'm so afraid to talk to God. Like, I don't even know what he would say. Well, at the beginning, it's like, I love you. I know you. And to be honest, he's like one of those people is like, as soon as you call him for the truth, he knows your heart. He knows your motive. He sees you. You don't even need to speak. It's like, he's already like, I know. And there's this overwhelming like love and understanding, because when we all go to God that first time, we have that beautiful encounter with him. Let's be real. We are so humble. We are on our knees, and we've gotten to a place where we just know that there is no more truth in this place. There has never actually been truth in this place. We cannot do it ourselves. There's no purpose in doing it ourselves, and that we need God to pick us up off the floor. We're all going to get to that spot. And if you're not there yet, it's okay. God's timing is God's timing, right? And that's the other thing too. He knows the motive. So when you call and you're continuing to call and continuing to reach out, just start with the understanding of, who are you? I just want to know who you are. And he's always going to answer. Because if I know God well enough already, my favorite thing to watch him do is just show people the goodness of him. Show people love and kindness, and just open up the door, like, and show like just people what it really was like to exist with heaven on earth. And it's always through love. And it's always through kindness. It's always in a time where you need it the most. And I think that's, just that understanding of like what true communication is and what it really means to seek God is to know and desire to understand who he is. Because we can make all the assumptions that we want, but I promise you that you're only limiting God. Don't limit God. Allow for him to show you who he is, and seek him in truth for his will and his desire, so that heaven can be here on earth. So until next time, have a great week and be good fruit.